All right, here we go. Salute to Knicks Nation on this Thursday afternoon. Another good edition of KFTV Live. CP the franchise in the building. Today's show sponsored by KnicksFanTV.com. Head over to KnicksFanTV.com and get your tickets to the next KFTV watch party. Knicks versus Rockets this Saturday, February 21st at Clinton Hall 36. Free to get in, just RSVP. We got live game audio, music by our guy DJ Eric L. Beats, the resident DJ, prizes, giveaways, you name it. Great food, great drinks, and good vibes. Bring the family, bring the kids, bring the dog. It is a great time for all. Today's show, we are going to talk about the captain. Jalen Brunson says, show me the money. We are going to talk about that. Jeremy Sohan had his first day of practice. We'll talk about the impacts on the Knicks rotation and James Dolan's next big move. And when we talk about the money, man, no better person to talk about it with than our guy, man, diehard Knicks fan, and also the editor-in-chief of Investopedia, man, our guy Caleb Silver is in the building. Salute to the replay gang. Salute to our franchise channel members. And let's get into it, man. Knicks basketball back on tonight. The All-Star break is over, and we can get back to business, man. Caleb, how you doing, man? Happy Thursday, man.
Happy Thursday. Good to be with you, and let's get some hoops back on. I'm going crazy out there. Can't wait for tonight. Get the final third of the season underway and see what we got. We got kind of a retool franchise here. I'm really excited. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Definitely want to get your thoughts on that. But let's get to business as we usually do with you on this show. And some interesting news broke yesterday in terms of James Dolan and the Madison Square Garden Corporation considering splitting the Knicks and the Rangers into two separate companies. What did you make of the news and why they might be considering this change here?
Yeah, always good to be with you. Number one show for the fans, by the fans. You know what it is. Knicks Fan TV. Thanks for having me again, CP. Always good to be here. So, yeah, for those of us that are following the business of basketball, especially the business of our beloved Knicks, this came out yesterday in a press release from Madison Square Garden, which is owned, MSG Sports Corp, owned by Jim Dolan, the Dolan family, as well as public shareholders. They're considering splitting the two sports teams out of what we call MSGS. MSGS is the Knicks, the Rangers, the Westchester Knicks, as well as the Rangers farm team, and Madison Square Garden, some of the other entities that are in there. So splitting them out as their own publicly traded companies, the New York Knicks would be its own company, the Rangers would be its own company, to extract more value out of these franchises. Because for years, everyone has always said that MSGS, which contains the Knicks and the Rangers and the publicly traded company, has always traded at what they call the Dolan discount, not getting enough valuation given the value of the assets of those teams. As everyone knows, the value of pro franchises has just risen pretty much astronomically over the last 10 to 20 years.
Well, that was one thing that I read, that the thought is that on the public markets, the franchise is undervalued as it relates to the private. But why would that be? Like, why would they be considered, as you said, the Dolan discount? Why would it be considered undervalued as it relates to the public markets?
Because if it's wrapped up in these other assets and the Knicks and the Rangers are actually valued differently, you might potentially extract more value out of the Knicks as a franchise, as a business. And when you think about these massive TV deals that were just announced that are coming down the pipe in the next few years, how much money the NBA is going to bring and then distribute to its teams, and then what the flexibility of a Knicks team on its own as a company could do beyond that to raise its value, it's probably going to grow faster than the combined entity. And that's been the argument on Wall Street for years. A lot of analysts have been saying you should split these out into their own things, because they've seen the valuations of pro franchises go from 3 or 4 times their annual revenue, to like 10x their annual revenue, with the most premium franchises like the Celtics, like the Lakers, going for many times more than that. The Knicks would be in that category.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, the Lakers recently selling for $10 billion to Mark Walter and that investment group that included Magic and those guys. But, you know, from the Knicks' perspective, do you envision that, you know, based on the new TV deal and the current valuation, do you expect that to go up should they make that deal?
Yeah, I do, because then they could really steer the course their own way and think about the NBA's international expansion, the popularity of the NBA overseas. What could that mean in terms of Knicks, mini franchises, or being able to use the trademark itself in generating revenue all different kinds of ways? Yeah, there's the media rights deals, and we know I'll get into what's happening now with MSG given the big network deal, but there's that. There's also just the fact that they're now being able to sell, positions on the jerseys. There's all different types of ways to monetize a team, a professional sports team, and Wall Street gets even more creative every single year, it seems, on how they want to be able to do that. Why not take advantage of that? That's the argument for splitting these out into their own entities. Now, it's not a sure thing. It needs all types of approval. We don't really have anything like this necessarily in the NBA. You have some kind of things that are kind of like it in other sports leagues, but it's never quite been done before. And it's going to require all kinds of approval, not only by shareholders, but by the NBA and the NBA's owners.
Well, it seems like from shareholders, you've had a lot of activist shareholders speaking out on MSG and wanting them to make these moves. We saw that they did split MSG into sports and entertainment, the entertainment side hosting the properties like Radio City, the Forum, things of that nature, and then on the sports side being the Knicks and the Rangers. So this could be, do you see this as another move to maybe Dolan's kind of buckling under that shareholder pressure?
You could say he's buckling. You could also say he's trying to maximize shareholder value. He already had through MSGE, you mentioned it, Radio City, you had the Gardens Theater there, you had the Beacon, and you had the Sphere. And we talked about this last year. I said the Sphere was the best thing to happen to the Knicks in the last decade or so, because it took Dolan's attention off the team, and he let Leon Rose and team run it. And that's where we are, why we are where we are today. But he's already split out the Sphere company from MSG Entertainment to extract more value out of that. He realized what a runaway success that was. Think about international expansion for something like the Sphere. So splitting things out, nothing new to the Dolan family. And this is actually what you do when you want to extract more shareholder value. He would, I would say, every likelihood, remain chairman of the New York Knicks and the New York Rangers if they were separate entities. And he might have to, given the rules around the Board of Governors in the NBA.
Yeah, it seems like every time you hear about these moves, especially on the financial side, people always speculate, is a sale on the way? Are they going to sell the team? But this isn't anything of that nature. This is, as you say, a way to extract more value for the shareholders.
Oh, absolutely. And let me read to you what Dolan actually said in the press release yesterday. We are exploring the opportunity to further create value for our shareholders by separating our two professional sports franchises into distinct companies. Both the Knicks and the Rangers are premier teams in their respective leagues with storied histories and large, passionate fan bases. We know. We believe this proposed transaction would provide each company with enhanced strategic flexibility. That's what I'm talking about. How else can they monetize that great brand that they have with enhanced strategic flexibility, its own defined business focus, again, chart its own course, and clear characteristics for investors. Surprise, surprise, MSGS, which concludes the sport teams, hit an all-time high yesterday in the stock market. And that's what actually got my attention. I saw the stock peaking on my watch list, and then I was like, what is going on? That's where all this is coming from. And then sure enough, it became front page news or back page news.
Yeah, shout out to our guy, Triple M franchise channel member in the building. He says he's got his MSG stock. And as you said, the street reacted to this news, or these rumors rather, favorably. Now, for somebody out there, let's say the average Knicks fan out there that wants to invest in the MSG stock, wants to invest in the Knicks, number one, how would they, what's a practical way to go about doing that? And should they make this move, how would that impact things? Like, let's say you got into MSGS now, and then they decided to split the two franchises.
Yeah, the company outlined how they would do that. You would get a percentage shares in the Knicks. If it were to split out, if you wanted that, you would take a piece pursuing from your MSGS stock, roll that into your Knicks stock, whatever that is. NYK would be a great ticker on Wall Street. I'd love to trade that down there at the New York Stock Exchange. So you would get a piece of it. And it would be fair with what you have. That's the only way this transaction works, because at the end of the day, CP, it is a tax-free transaction. That's the only way it would be able to work in the NBA, given the way that it's structured and the way the teams are built into it. For all you tax geeks out there, that's the Internal Revenue Code 355. So it has to be an equal transaction. You get the percentage of the valuation of that split off. Nobody actually makes new money on this. And then if you want to be a standalone investor, if this should happen, and there's a lot of ifs. If you want to be a standalone investor in the Knicks stock, you would buy shares of it on the public market if they were available, like you would through any stock through your brokerage account. But you would be basically betting on the ability of the team and the business of the team to continue to grow its profits over time. And so far, we've seen a pretty good track record of that, but that is also because of what's happened in professional sports, especially the NBA.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, the overall investment in professional sports. Right now, one of the big trends that we're seeing is the influx of capital from private equity. We've now seen private equity involvement or investment in up to 74 North American sports franchises. Could envision some sort of transaction happening here with that side of the financial sector, some more capital infusion from the private sector or from private equity rather?
Yeah, you absolutely could, whether it was overt, like making an actual direct investment in the Knicks if it was a standalone business, or the Rangers for that matter, or covertly when they were buying shares on the public market to accumulate enough shares to have some influence. There is a very strict, especially in the NFL, rules around private equity ownership. The NFL opened the gates to private equity this year to bring in more deep pockets, because private equity's got some pretty deep pockets, and they're able to own, I think, 10% max of franchises. You could see that happening with the split out. It gives more financial flexibility to the Knicks as a business, or the Rangers as a business, to go find different ways to make money or attract shareholders. The whole point, as you know, having worked on Wall Street, of going public, is to attract public investment into your company, to give you a larger market cap, to be able to have a little bit more financial flexibility, to borrow more money if you need it, or if you want to build a new training facility out in Westchester, or start a new franchise out in Japan. There's a lot you can do with that financial flexibility.
Yeah, no question about it. Now, for the Knicks fan out there that they haven't yet dabbled in the financial markets, first and foremost, they should be going to your site, investopedia.com, to be educated, and they should be following you on Instagram and on your social platforms to be further educated on the market. But is there a platform out there? I use E-Trade, but is there a platform out there? Is it Robinhood? Is there a platform out there that you recommend for the novice, the beginner that wants to dabble into the markets?
Yeah, and we have great reviews on Investopedia of best brokers for beginners. You can see which ones we list there. But let's just say you already have a bank account and an existing, big national bank. Bank of America has this. Even Schwab is a bank, and it has its own brokerage as well. So does Fidelity, and they all have really good brokerage accounts where you can sign up easily. If you're under 18 and you want to get into investing, have your parents set up a custodial account for you. If you're in your first job, set up a Roth IRA. Really easy way to invest, and just make sure you're allocating those investments. But come to investopedia.com for the basics 101 on how to invest. I know, I make it sound simple. It's confusing to people who have never experienced it. And guess what? We never get taught it much in high school or in college for that matter. So Investopedia is there for you to learn it. But any brokerage platform is very good for beginners these days, because so many new people join the market every year.
CP the franchise, Caleb Silver in the building on this Thursday afternoon. Salute to everybody in the chat. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. Knicks taking on the Pistons tonight at Madison Square Garden. Knicks basketball is back, and we are certainly happy to hear about that. Now, when we talk about the big money, hey, Captain Clutch recently in an article with Vanity Fair talks about his bag, because as we know, he did give the Knicks, some people consider it a discount last year, or 2024 rather. He signed a 4-year, $156.5 million extension, which is well short of 5 years, $269 that he could have gotten had he waited until this past off season. And Brunson talked about the fact that, he wanted to, he took into consideration the injury factor, wanted to pad some of his future now just in case, because you just never know what tomorrow holds. However, he is due for a bigger bag come 2028. He's eligible for 5 years, $417.8 million. He'll be 32 entering that year. And Brunson was quoted here in Vanity Fair saying, obviously, we'd love for them to do right by me. I think anyone would. I feel like I sacrificed. What do you think, man? Those words from the captain.
Yeah, I think that he's speaking the truth. He's a man of few words, doesn't usually go out on a limb with what he says. Very careful about what he says. But I thought it opened up a fair amount in this Vanity Fair article, and he's right. But just reading that again, $417 million deal, 5-year, $417 million when he turns 32 years old. there's a lot riding. I mean, for him, I can understand. Maybe take that bag today if you can. Plus, he was giving the Knicks some flexibility to make the moves that they have been able to make. But that's also, there's a lot riding on that. 5 years, being able to play 5 years at the age of 32 as a point guard who takes the kind of beating he does. Kind of see his point in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But good for him for speaking out, because we always know he's very, very careful about what he says. And he should admit to the fact that he did take one for the team, and I guess we do kind of owe him.
Yeah, they do. I'm all for it, and they should be taking care of him when that time comes. As he said, he did take a little bit. I like his approach in terms of taking some now, padding that as some insurance against injury, because you just never know. But when it is time, they do owe him. I mean, he is Captain Clutch for a reason. The guy puts the team on his back every single night. On the nights that it's not his night, he comes back the next night and doubles down on a brilliant performance. I mean, his landing here in New York, it's been nothing short of a success. Yes, obviously we want to talk about championships, but when you think about the fact that this guy was a second-round pick, and, coming from Dallas, he's been undervalued his whole entire journey here, right? Coming out of Nova, he's a second-round pick. Dallas lets him go. They said, we don't want to give him that money. And look where they are right now. He comes to New York, takes on the heaviest jersey in the entire league, and has been shining under the brightest spotlight. To me, there's no bigger success story than Jalen Brunson. It's the reason why this team is considered a true contender. When you think about the fact that the other day, CBS Sports came out with a list of they ranked the top front offices, and they had all these teams, all like the tanking teams, the OKCs, the Bostons, the Houstons, teams that have been building their team through top draft picks. The Knicks didn't have that luxury. I mean, they were blessed to have Jalen Brunson come here and lead the way on a smaller deal, and then took an even smaller deal, sacrifice for the team. I think the story's been absolutely brilliant for him and this team.
Yeah, and that's why the papers call him the King of New York. He's probably the most important athlete in New York City right now. I know we got Aaron Judge. I know we got other great players around the city, but he's the one that gets a lot of attention, carries a lot for a franchise that's been desperate for a title for 5 decades, as long as I've been alive, basically. So that's a lot of pressure, and he handles it great.
Yeah.
Right? He is a man of few words. He doesn't speak up much in the press conferences. He shows it on the court, and deserves not only the bag that he's going to get, but all the sponsorships that he's been able to create while he's been here. He's everywhere, basically, that you look. And he's also seems to be spreading that love around to his teammates, who seem to be doing really well, too, on the sponsorship front.
Sure. Now, the only thing that I'm always concerned about, because He's been riding on that magic carpet now, Caleb, for a number of years. He's been riding on that carpet. He came in here as a relative unknown. Then he became an all-star. Now he takes the shorter deal, and the team is making the playoffs, and they exit no shorter than a second round. Everything has been, he's been the king here. But with great power, a.k.a. that contract, comes great responsibility. So I'm just curious to see how the fan base reacts to that when that does come, because they're going to be expected to really win the big one. And once you don't, look, we've seen it with Ewing. We saw it with Carmelo. It turns on you, man. It turns on you when those expectations start to weigh you down if you can't win the big one. It's tough.
It is tough, and especially when you're getting profiled in Vanity Fair there in a nice spread in Vegas, wearing a beautiful, look like a gold Rolex.
Yeah. What was that, an AP, a Rollie?
It was shining pretty bright in that Las Vegas sun, looking pretty comfortable up there. Now, again, he's a pretty humble guy. If you read the article, and it's worth reading, because
Yes.
he shows up in his local coffee shop drinking a chamomile and having a baklava like the rest of us, walking in a pair of sweats to sit down for this interview. Now, fair enough, the interview was done, I think, in November or at the end of
Yes.
last year. We were going through a pretty intense losing skid. It was January, I believe. It was right in front of the losing skid. And he was talking about the intensity of the team. And there's no question, and he doesn't question the fact that it is among the most talented teams in the NBA, top to bottom. It isn't. It just got a little bit better. but that intensity, he says, that we had a couple of years ago was missing. When Dante was on the team, when Tibbs was coach, there was this, and Julius was there, was more of a fire in their belly, a little fiercer. And he was saying that before the losing streak, obviously, and then they went on a big winning streak. But still, you kind of feel that, and that's what we want to see in this last third of the season here. Do we have the dog in us? Because we're going to need it every single night. We may be talented, top to bottom, player to player, but running against these teams like Detroit, we'll find out tonight, running against some of these teams that are in Philly when it's fully healthy, and the Celtics when they get fully healthy, we're going to need every one of our teeth sharpened and ready to go, because this is going to be a tough dogfight the rest of the season.
Yeah, which is why I think they went out there and have been making the moves that they did in terms of bringing home the hometown kid in Jose Alvarado, right? Where he makes up in the talent gap, he brings in the compete level, the energy, the grit. I mean, that is immense, especially for a team that's trying to scrap here on the margins to really complement the talent that you have. So far, so good. Only 3 games in for Alvarado. He's been brilliant, man. What's been your take on him so far?
Yeah, he's everything we wanted to see. He's the player you hate to play against, the guy you love to have on your team, because he's going to get down and make that steal. He's going to get in people's faces. He's done exactly that, and he's hit some incredible shots. His three's been looking really sweet lately. Let's see if he can keep that up. But he can get very streaky as a player, and when he's not shooting well, he's going to be responsible with the rock, and he's going to play really tough D, and he's going to play tough D against a lot of those little guys that give us a hard time running around and running through the middle of the lane on us and laying things up. I think he's going to be a lot tougher on those guys and get them from the back as well.
For sure. Now, before they entered into the All-Star break, they had a good win over the Celtics, but that tough loss over the Pacers puts them a half game back of the C's. Obviously, you have Detroit up there. Knicks are 6 games in back of Detroit. How do you see the East kind of playing out for the Knicks as we look into these final 20 or so games, 30 games?
Yeah, the big bogey, I think, is the Celtics, right? Are we going to see Jason Tatum? If so, what does that team look like with him? Because they've been playing unbelievably well without him. Now, he's an amazing player, and Jalen Brown's an amazing player. They'll find room for each other if he comes back. And I think he is coming back from everything that I've heard. So that's going to add another wrinkle. I think, we're going to wind up in that top 4 somehow. But as you know, the playoffs is a war of attrition. By the time we get there, who's healthy by the time we get there? We've had some unhealthiness the last couple of weeks. The break came at just the right time for people like OG and Josh Hart.
Yeah.
So we'll see what we have left, but it's also going to be like the things you can't depend on, the random things that happen, the sliding doors in the playoffs that all of a sudden open the door for a team to potentially make their way to the finals. We need that, and we need to play our best ball, come March and April.
Yeah, curious to see. They have the dog. He's on his way back. Looks like he should play tonight. We'll see, but he did have a full practice on Wednesday. So curious to see how guys like a Hart and OG and Mikal Bridges, how do they play the rest of the way through, given this extended All-Star break, having a chance to rejuvenate themselves, go on vacation, come back kind of relaxed. So I'm going to see how they fare out the gates against a Detroit team that every time they see the Knicks, they see red. I want to see if the Knicks are going to meet that compete level on your home court after this team has embarrassed you twice by 30 points, man. Got to fight tonight.
Yeah. Absolutely. You got to come out strong. Can't be one of those, 12, 14-point first quarters where we're letting them just carve us up like Swiss cheese. So we got to come in and be ready to play hard out of the gate, get the crowd re-engaged, because when that crowd gets going, when you get a great steal from Jose, or you get a 3 from Jalen, or even a great pass lately from Cat, well, that energy is like priceless, right? Yeah. That motivates us. That's good for a good 5 to 10 points. We need that right out of the gate. We need it all the way through the playoffs and into the finals. Let's go, Knicks.
How does the day look for you? Did you do TV today? Did you do CNBC today?
Not today. I did some other TV today, Schwab TV this morning from the New York Stock Exchange. Got a little bit more of that later. But we're in an interesting time in the stock market right now, kind of dancing around record highs. But the biggest stocks in the market have been falling, CP. All those stocks, those big software stocks, the FANGs, the Magnificent Seven, the NVIDIAs of the world, well off their highs. Yet the stock market's still around record highs right now. What we like to call it, I know you know it, sector rotation, and that good balance across sectors, like a good basketball team. We're playing defense right now in the stock market, with defensive sectors leading the way, versus what was happening for the past 3 years. But good defense wins championships too, so you got to stay in there.
Stay the course, absolutely, man. Well, listen, we definitely appreciate the breakdown as usual, and we'll circle back in a couple of weeks, man. Tap in with you.
All right, good to be with you, and hey, folks, for the fans, by the fans. This is Knicks Fan TV fam, and I'll see you at the next watch party. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right. Throw your
We
towels
live
in
it,
the
man.
air.
This is what we do. You know what I'm saying? This is what
That's
we
right.
do, man. Caleb
All day
Silver,
long.
thanks again, man. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the weekend. We'll catch up.
All right, CP, thanks.
Yes, sir. That was my guy, Caleb Silver, in the building. Hey, man, somebody in the chat mentioned, where else are you getting this? The answer is, ladies and gentlemen, nowhere else. Hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe to the channel. We ain't done yet. You know we ain't done yet, man. I like to break this thing down into segments, so we got more to talk about, especially as it relates to today's game. But, hey, shout out to my guy, Caleb Silver. We were able to break down the news that broke yesterday in terms of MSG and James Dolan maybe splitting the Knicks and the Rangers up. So, hey, something for you guys to take in and some education on the financial markets if you're looking to invest and build some wealth for yourself and your family. My guy, Triple M, said he's got his MSG stock. And so, sometimes they say one of the best investing strategies is to invest in some of the products and the services that you use. Well, as diehard Knicks fans, hey, that might be it. Not advocating, not pushing the stock on you, but just saying that is one of some investment theories that some may hold. Everybody has their own, right? So I think it's just interesting on a whole, and just a way for us to kind of diversify our content here on Knicks Fan TV. Yeah, it's great to talk about the team, but I like to really slice this thing up in different ways. Once again, salute to my franchise channel members. Salute to the Facebook fam. Let me see who's on the Facebook side of the house. Salute to you guys watching over there. Keith Paris, I see you. Shout out to Paul Jenkins. He says trade Cat. What is this guy talking about, man? Trade deadline's over, man. Come on, man. Shout out Paul Jenkins. Ermin Silkovic. How's Ermin? How you doing, Ermin? Shout out to Jimmy Ruxtelli in the building. If you guys are on the grind, go ahead and throw a hashtag grind in the chat, and I'll shout you guys out. Hey, get your tees, man. Get your 100 KFTV tees also on KnicksFanTV.com. Your KFTV snaps. You see it. New era, fresh embroidered with the sticker. The lady gives me a hard time about keeping the stickers on my hat. I'm old school, man. What do you want me to do, man? I'm an old school. I'm not like the young whippersnappers. I just keep everything on there. That's how I came up in the hat game. You know what I mean? What do you want me to do? So there that is, just taking care of some of the housekeeping. Now, for those of you that are headed over to the Garden tonight, you're looking for some tickets, I think the get-in price right now in the secondary market is like $250 for some nosebleeds. So if you're looking for a little bit of a discount, head over to SeatGeek and use our code KFTV10. Very easy to use. You go to SeatGeek.com or use the SeatGeek app. Search for Knicks versus Pistons. You find the tickets that you want. Look for the green dots. Green indicates the amazing to good deals. Red, those are the bad ones. Stay away from those. There should be plenty of tickets on SeatGeek in the green that you could be able to get the most bang for your buck. You put in your credit card information. Use the code KFTV10. 10% off. You take that savings, you go get you a little soda, a drink, a glizzy, whatever you're into. Maybe you head over to KnicksFanTV.com, get you a rally towel, whatever it is, man. But shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring today's show, the #1 ticketing app and the official ticketing app of Knicks Fan TV. Okay, we got a couple of other things we want to cover today. Let me just rearrange some of the chairs a little bit. Shout out to Quinn Shaolin in the building. Where's everybody checking in from on this beautiful Thursday afternoon, man? Throw your cities, throw your countries, throw your flag in the chat. Let me know where you guys are tapping in from. We'll keep it light on the chat. Also, if you guys want to call me up on the Discord, you are more than welcome to do so. Jamaica Queens in the building. I see you. Shout out to the Shells repping out west. Black Phoenix, 2008 franchise channel member, says Alvarado was the last Infinity Stone. We taking it this year. I certainly hope you're right, man. Certainly hope you're right. Okay. Shout out to Christopher Blake. Christopher Blake says, I don't want to hear nothing about any more Infinity Stones. Salute, Christopher Blake. Ron B's checking in from Charlotte, from the QC. Hopefully you weren't anywhere near where LaMelo was at. It's turning corners, swerving. LaMelo can't drive, man. We got to take the keys away from that young brother, man. He got to take his driver's ed lesson, some defensive driving, because that boy drives like an 80-year-old lady. Oman Beach, Florida. Shout out to Omar. Stephen Gomez always in here, man. Check repping the 305. Salute. Who else? B More. Quentin Gillum. How you doing, man? Quentin Gillum. Salute, man. Okay, so in other news, our guy Jeremy Sohan was back in action, man. His first day on the job. Shout out to Jeremy. And on his first day on the job, I don't know if you guys saw this. My man he's already in New York style and New York uniform. I mean, check this out, man. My guy Jeremy Sohan pulled up with the orange and blue hair. Did you guys see this? I know some of you guys are like, oh, he's got to change his hairstyle. He's got to do this, that, and the third. Well, my man said, hey, I'm in New York. I got to fit in. So he went with the orange and blue dyed hair. Hey, whatever it takes to win. But that was Jeremy on his first day of practice. Looks like he got a little slam dunk action there, as you see. Huck, I hope Huck, you weren't guarding him. Looks like they were on the same team, so that looked good. Now, Mike Brown had some interesting comments about Jeremy on his arrival, and I want to play some of that for you guys over here. Let's hear about Mike Brown in terms of what he thinks about Jeremy Sohan and his arrival. Here we go. Let me make sure we got good volume here.
Especially for a forward. OG is of that size, but
let me go back a little bit. Let me go back a little bit. Here's Mike Brown and his thoughts on Jeremy.
Especially for a forward. Jeremy. Well, I won't get specific in the conversation, but when you look at Jeremy, you like his size right off the bat, and especially for a forward. OG is of that size, but nobody else really is of that size. And then you look at his versatility. Over the years, he's been able to guard 1 through 5. And so to have that versatility on that end of the floor is huge. And especially if OG's out, we're a lot smaller if a guy like OG and or Josh, or they both are out. And then, his energy, his physicality, all those things that don't necessarily show up in a stat sheet, in my opinion, are welcomed by any team. And we were lucky to be able to get it.
What kind of role?
I'm not 100% for sure, but I do see a role for him because of the things I mentioned. And I say, well, I'm not sure how many minutes he'll play. I plan on trying to use him. And hopefully we get to a point where he's versatile enough to play 1 through 5 for us. And, our system is a little different because 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all interchangeable, so you got to kind of know all those spots. And then that 5th spot is a little different because it's different than the other 4. And so we'll see how quickly we can catch him up to speed, but he's done a pretty good job so far.
He started with
All right, so that was some of Mike Brown in terms of what he thought about Sohan and how he plans on using him. I thought that was interesting because he mentioned a couple of times his versatility at being able to guard 1 through 5. So in particular, I'm interested in seeing, in terms of how Mike Brown uses him, could we see some of him at the small ball 5? He did play at the 5 some this year with the Spurs when he did play sparingly, but then also last year, about like 20% of his time was spent at the 5. So I'm curious to see what type of lineups does Brown deploy out there, and could we see Sohan at the 5? Like I said when he first got here, I think this could be a more situational factor here where maybe this is a late game defensive lineup and you're throwing your whole wing stop out there, right? Is it McCall, OG, Hart, Sohan, Mitch, right? Like, Mo. I mean, that could get very, very interesting from a defensive standpoint. Is it a Alvarado, McCall, OG, Sohan, Mitch? That could be very interesting, man. Could be very interesting. Shout out Pino Bianco 80. Our franchise channel member. Welcome to the franchise channel member. So that was Mike Brown on, some of the ways that he might use Sohan and what intrigued him. And here's a little bit more just in terms of minutes, because this is what everybody else wants to know, like how we'll use him and so some of the minutes here, because some people are concerned your favorite Knicks rookie could get slid down the bench a little bit. All right, so here's Mike Brown. More on Sohan, man. So to everybody in the chat, like, share, and subscribe.
Not maybe a lot of minutes, but a situation.
Well, again, I'm not sure exactly the minutes, but he for sure could be, if we need to get a stop, or if it's there's 3.2 seconds on the clock and they call a timeout. Well, Jeremy, OG, Josh, we may go with a bigger lineup that's extremely versatile, so we can switch things and not have to worry about boxing out and or rebounding down the stretch. So he could very well be in that mix.
With OG back and now Jeremy in the mix, how does this all? What does this mean for Mo?
Mo's had a good season so far, and as a young guy, I'll, as you guys know, I'll play young guys, right. And I have played young guys in front of vets before, but I'm going to give Jeremy an opportunity, and he's similar to Tyler. Jose's a vet. He knows the league knows him, he knows the officials, and vice versa. So they're going to get an opportunity.
All right, so I moved over to the Sohan interview, but before I get to that one, he said, look, I played young guys over vets. He said Mo's had a great run so far, but he has to get an evaluation on Jeremy Sohan. So that says to me that, yeah, Mo could spend a couple of games with limited or no minutes. If we think about this logically, OG's back. You have your starting five that's locked in: Jalen, McCall, Josh, OG, and Carl. That's five. Off the bench, you have Alvarado as your backup one, Shamet, then you have Mitch. So, a lot of you guys are like, oh, we can go 10. Hey, we could go 11, 12. I don't think he's going to go that way, even though Mike Brown said he might consider 10. I think he's going to go with that same 8.5 that he's talked about, maybe a full 9, where Sohan is now going to slide in here, and we're going to figure out what are some rotations we can use him in, how will he best be deployed to make us a better team, to amplify our defense, things of that nature. So I think it could come at the expense of Mo, but I'm not worried about it. I know a lot of you guys get pissed. So you can't bench Mo. Let's not treat Mo like he's Scottie Pippen here. Let's take it easy a little bit and dial it back on our evaluations and expectations here. Mo's playing great. He's been a revelation so far, no question. But him sliding down a bench a little bit for a little bit of time is not going to set him back or set the team back or anything like that. At the end of the day, Mike Brown has, this team is 35-20. They're 55 games in. You got 27 games left. Got to figure out who's going to crack that playoff rotation. Who's going to be the 8, maybe 9 guys that he goes playoff. Because people saying he's going to go 10 playoffs. I don't see that happening. So you got to figure out who do we have, who we might be matched up with, and who's going to factor into this rotation. Because obviously Mitch is a lock. I think Shamet is going to be a lock for the playoff rotation. That's 7. Now, is Deuce coming back? We don't know. We hope he is. I think Deuce is still going to be 8. And so I think between Alvarado and maybe Sohan Mo, they get more situational minutes here. I think Alvarado could be a factor, so you maybe go 9. Depending on how they want to ramp up Deuce. We don't know if he's going to be back. Is he going to be on a minutes restriction? Is he going to be effective? This is another setback. This is another injury setback for Deuce, unfortunately. So, either way, these 27 games, Mike Brown has to use this to evaluate who he has here in Sohan, and let's see what he has. Let's see what he has. It's a low-risk move. You want to see how you want to use him. This is tryout time, and I think in terms of the experimentation factor, I think Mike Brown has done a great job in terms of experimenting this year so far, and we're seeing some good things. Yeah, Clarkson, I think Clarkson's out of rotation. That's okay. He'll be back. That's all right. But yeah, let me know what you guys think on the Discord in the comment section. So now here was Jeremy. I'll play some of this Jeremy Sohan interview where he talks about what he wants to bring to the team and all that. Here we go. Welcome to New York, Jeremy Sohan. Orange and blue hair. Rate that hair color in the chat. 1 being trash, 5 being facts. Here we go.
What I bring to this team? Yeah.
again, energy. Again, the kind of mold that I think coach wants to, has been doing, and what the Knicks have been doing, and what he wants from me. I think I can really excel in. I bring versatility, defense, energy, a little bit of that nasty. So yeah, I can't wait.
You left the team with, like you said, with a deep roster. This team also has a deep roster.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Have they talked to you about what your role is going to be and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we've talked a lot, and I think again it's just seizing whatever opportunity I get. And I think one of the reasons why I picked New York is, again, it's a very deep roster, a lot of really talented players, and again I think it's a pretty cool opportunity to just watch and grow from that too. Again, I still think I'm young. So just being around players that have established themselves and have done a lot of stuff in this league, I think is it's a crazy opportunity for me. So
it's less about playing time, more about the veterans you can learn from, kind of thing. Is that what you're saying?
Not really. I think it's a mixture. And I do believe in myself, and I believe I can do well on the court too. But I think again I look at it as a bigger picture, and what's happening here, I think I can be a part of and just grow in general. So that's why.
What was it like meeting your first practice and meeting your new teammates? What was it like for you?
Yeah, it was great. Again, like the way I see it was very natural. I think I embody what Mike Brown is asking from his players, and I'm a quick learner, so I think I've been doing pretty well.
A lot of the Spurs guys, they seem to post stuff on social media in the aftermath of that, saying they're gonna miss you and this and that. What do you bring to a locker room just as a teammate?
Yeah, again, the way I view everything is team first. I'm always going to be there for my teammates on and off the court. I'm bringing energy, positive vibes, and I think that's the most important thing, and consistency. And whether that's on the court or off the court, I'm going to be myself every time. So,
do you have a position that you
power forward, but I feel again, even talking to coach, I'm versatile. I can do a little bit of everything. So again, whatever coach wants me to do, whatever gets me on the court, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna do it my 100%.
To be, sorry, go ahead. But to be where you were earlier for all rookie, all that stuff, and to have what happened this season,
yeah,
how surprising.
Yeah,
was that for you?
Yeah, it's tough. In my whole career, even like looking past the NBA, I've never just been sitting on the bench and getting DMPs. So. You go through a process of questioning, why, or what's happening. It can get stressful, but at the end of the day, I came from England where basketball is not big, so I know my worth. I know what I can bring to a team, and I'm blessed that the organization here has seen that, and I'm just super excited to just get a fresh slate and show what I can do. So.
Kind of with that, everybody's path is the same, and is that something that part of that battle or whatever, as you weren't playing and obviously being a top 10 pick, that you had to accept or become okay with?
100%. Again, I think I've known that not everyone's path is the same. Just from how I grew up. I'm very global. I played basketball in a bunch of different countries, so I kind of already knew that part. But I think it's human nature to question and ask yourself why things happen, and you kind of realize it's not always in your control, and what's most important is staying or trying to stay in the present moment and do what you can control, and that's your energy, the way you work, the way you listen, and the way you just grow mentally, physically, and all that. So again, I think I embody that part, and the moment I was in San Antonio, I think I was very professional, and I was staying ready. I never got the opportunity, but it is what it is, and I'm now here, and I'm super excited.
Yeah. All right, that was our guy Jeremy. He speaks well for a 22-year-old kid, for a young whippersnapper. I think he speaks pretty well. He handled the setback, if you will, or the adversity in San Antonio fairly well. He talks about he wants to bring that energy and that tenacity to New York. I like that, man. You know, he's just trying to fit in. He says he wants to seize the moment. So that was a good press conference by Jeremy, man. I thought it was pretty funny. They were like, you know, what position do you want to play here? He says, I'm a power forward. So he said, forget all of that point guard talk that I was doing in San Antonio. They tried it. They tried the point forward thing. And he said, nah, I ain't going with that. He said, I ain't going for that. So shout out to him. And like I said, man, we'll see. I think, hey, maybe he gets some minutes tonight against Detroit. And let's see, man. Very curious to see how they use him, what he's going to bring to this team. If it works out, fantastic. If it don't, thanks for your time. That's how I see it. Yeah, HT in the chat sounds very mature. Sounds very mature. You know? Yeah, so we'll see, man. Need Peter Patton to work with him. Yeah, Omar. If Peter got Josh Hart right. He got Mo was shooting 28 in France, 28% from 3 in France. So if he can solve those puzzles, give that man some sort of coaching award. Because he got Hart shooting 40%. He got Mo shooting 40%. Deuce just unfortunately left. He was over 40%. Shamit, I mean, not saying that all these guys were a product of him, but hey, the team as a whole is a good 3-point shooting team, man. So that was Jeremy Sohan. And as I said, man, he's rocking the orange and blue and dyed hair. He's looking to make a statement, man, looking to fit in. I like his attitude so far. Looks like he's ready to come in here and make a statement. Now, how do we feel about rocking that number 20? That number hasn't been too kind to some Knicks since the great H2O rocked it. You know what I mean? That number 20 has not been too kind, man. Where's my H2O highlights? There we go. There we go. This week, 53 points on Kobe and the Lakers. That's how you rock number 20. You know? H2O had us nostalgic after that All-Star Shooting Stars competition. So we had to put some respect on his name. 53 in LA. Come here, Fisher. Oh, look at that. Behind the back, laying. It wasn't just about the mid-range jumpers. H2O was getting busy. Woo! Look at that move. Before Jamal Crawford had that move, H2O put that move on the court. Let's go. So he's got number 20. Junior Karoma says it needs to be retired. Yeah, it's kind of interesting that they kind of been, just letting anybody take that number now. But my guy H2O was pure. Yeah, man, just going through the KFTV Instagram. Make sure you follow us at KnicksFanTV on Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff. Remember, get your watch party tickets, KFTVWatch.com, KnicksFanTV.com. Get your watch party tickets for this Saturday's upcoming watch party, Knicks versus Rockets. Very much looking forward to that show. Speaking of the Rockets, we got Kelly Iko from Yahoo Sports coming on tomorrow's show. We're going to keep these lunchtime edition shows rolling. So we got Kelly Iko from Yahoo Sports coming on tomorrow on Friday to preview the Rockets series. He's also covering the NBA on a national level. We'll get into some of those storylines, a lot of the tanking talk and all of that. So we'll kind of do that. D. Grant says, CPU too hype on H2O. Hey, man, I watch basketball. If you watch basketball, H2O was that guy. If you know your history, yeah, he was that guy. So, I just speak facts here, sir. If you can't handle it, I don't know what else to tell you, man. We just speaking facts here. 53 on the Lakers. Oh, he let the Knicks down. Give me a break. He brought the Knicks to the finals in 99. Do your research. What are you talking about? Let the Knicks down. These people really be living in an alternate universe. Come on, man. Shout out to another one of our sponsors of today's show, man, and that is CarGurus, man. Shout out to CarGurus for sponsoring today's show. Listen, buying a car is a big decision. If you don't want to feel rushed, confused, or second-guessing yourself, especially with prices being what they are right now, that's why I rock at CarGurus, man. What I love is simple. They make the whole process very easy. With CarGurus Discover, you can skip all those annoying filters and just search the way you actually think. You tell it what you want, maybe good gas mileage for the road trips, extra trunk space for the family, something comfortable for that daily commute. And it shows you the real shoppable listings that actually match. That's a game changer. And if you're at the dealership, the CarGurus app has this feature called Dealership Mode. Definitely check that out. It's basically a cheat code. You can compare the car right in front of you to similar options, check deal ratings, and see price history, and even estimate your final cost, all on the spot. That's confidence right there. With over 4 million listings, CarGurus has one of the biggest selections out there. So you know you're seeing real options and real deals. No wonder it's the #1 most visited car shopping site. So whether you're buying or selling, don't guess. Make your big deal the best deal. Go to CarGurus.com. That's CarGurus.com. Shout out to CarGurus, the #1 most visited car shopping site. Okay. Salute. It says, CP, I followed the Knicks since 1984. Bernard King not taking any away from H2O, but major disappointment to me. Well, so was Bernard. If you followed Bernard, he was a disappointment, right? He got hurt. At least Allen Houston made the All-Star team with the Knicks. Buzzer beater against the Heat. Big-time series against the Indiana Pacers. I mean, what else are you looking for, man? Yeah. What else are you looking for here from Allen Houston? If you're talking about Bernard, and you're talking about Houston being a disappointment, what was Bernard King? Come on, man. Come on, man. We're not going to do revisionist history here on H2O. Yeah, he got hurt. What do you want him to do? He had microfracture surgery. The guy couldn't move by the end of his tenure with the Knicks. He was moving in quicksand. What do you want him to do? Injuries happen. Shout out to the rhyme animal Chuck D. Yeah, you acting like the guy was fully healthy and underperforming. He literally could not move. But while he was here, he put in work. That's just how I see it. Got Knicks and the Pistons tonight. As I said, you know where to find us, man. #1 show for the fans by the fans. We'll have, let me just make sure CK will be with us for play-by-play. We'll have play-by-play live. And then post-game show, #1 show for the fans by the fans. You know where to find us for the post-game. And then Friday, we will have Kelly Iko previewing Saturday's Rockets game. First of 2 against the Houston Rockets. So good to have basketball back. You know, when I was on my little break, it was good, man. I got to catch up on rest, get back in the gym and all of that. Really just, let my mind relax a little bit. Caught up on some TV also. I tapped in on Netflix. What did I watch on Netflix? I did see The Rip with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. I thought that was cool. What do you guys think about The Rip on Netflix? I thought it was cool. Paced well, fast pace. Wasn't just, long and drawn out. They got right to it. I thought that was pretty cool. What else? What else did I catch up on? You got the Olympics and all of that, but I saw His and Hers. His and Hers, very good series. I thought His and Hers was really good. Yeah, like Winter Olympics. I don't know if you guys are really into it. I'm not really into it like that. I've been waiting for the Jamaican bobsled team. I'm waiting for the bobsled. That's really it. Other than that, the Winter Olympics, they just don't have the same draw for me like the Summer Olympics. I think it's primarily because you don't have as many head-to-head sports. Like Summer Olympics, everything is basically like head-to-head. Track and field, basketball, the swimming, the beach volleyball, all of that. With the Winter Olympics, it's really like a lot of it is like you versus the clock. And then it's like, all right, who got the best time? So, like, for example, like I'm watching like the downhill skiing last night. And like, within 10 minutes, I'm like, all right, this is boring. Hitting the poles and then hit the finish line. I'm not into it like that. I'm not into it like that, man. And then like with the hockey, like I want to get into the hockey, but I haven't really been tapped in with the NHL in a long time. Probably since the Rangers last went to the Stanley Cup Championship. So I don't really know who's who. Back in the Winter Olympics of the past, I would know the NHL players, so I would tap in. But the Winter Olympics wasn't really holding me like that. The Shells. I do got to watch the Soul Power ABA documentary. I do want to watch that, and I'm hoping that the Rhyme Animal Chuck D will have the Rhyme Animal Chuck D on the show, and we'll talk about that. I like to get his perspective on the ABA. Yeah, like the curling, like Winter Olympics is just really boring for me, man. You know, to each his own. It's just not really holding me, you know? I was watching on Peacock for like 2 seconds. I do like the fact that you can kind of like skip around and Peacock organizes everything by sport. So that's cool. But, you know, like I'll check in with the snowboarding, see what the snowboarding is talking about. I do like the snowboarding events. But that's really it, man. I don't know. It's not really not really into it. Bronx Root says, tell Barton Hahn. Black Kev says, what's good? Okay, shout out Black Kev in the chat. Wonder Man. All right, I got to check out Wonder Man. I did see some stuff on that. I got to check out Wonder Man. I saw that the Cat Williams comedy special was on Netflix. I'll tap in with that. I watched the Mike Epps one. I thought the Mike Epps one was pretty good. I thought the Mike Epps one was good in that, yeah, it was funny, but he also had a good message. Like everything was kind of, he brought it home very well. I thought Mike Epps brought that home very well, and it's very inspirational for anybody in any walk of life that you're pursuing. I did like that Mike Epps special and how he put it all together. You know, kind of talk through the struggles that he had as an aspiring comedian and you know, brought it to present day. I thought the Mike Epps special was good. Yeah. So yeah, that's that, man. Salute, man. Good show. Take a little rest now. Catch up. Get to the gym. Tap in with this game. I want this game tonight. I don't care who's playing, who's not playing. I want this game tonight, man. You know, I want this game tonight. Does a loss say anything about the playoffs? No, but it would be a bad look. Like you're coming out of All-Star break, you're at home. This team has washed you by 30 points in the Detroit Pistons. Smack them around. Don't even make it close and send them a message. Going forward, this is the last one. It's the absolute last one. So anyway, remember that these shows are available in audio podcast format. No reason to miss it. Catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify as well. And also, while you guys tap in on the show in podcast format, make sure you tap into our new series from the KFTV archives, man. It's been a big hit. The fans are loving it. If you guys have been tapped into it, leave me a comment in the comment section. We started with John Starks, and we are now on the X-Man, Xavier McDaniel. So we are chopping up all of our past interviews. We have a lot of gems from Knicks legends of the past and telling great stories. That's what I love about the former players. They're way more charismatic and way better storytelling than the current players. So I'd rather go with those guys. So we chopped up the X-Man interview, and we put it out in podcast format, story by story. So make sure you guys are tapping in from the KFTV archives on the KFTV podcast platforms. We definitely appreciate it. And let me know what you guys think about it, man. Let me know what you guys think about it, all right? I'll see you guys later tonight. Knicks versus Pistons post-game live. Shout out to the family, man. We out of here. Peace.